And I think things have got to be repeated, and you can forget everything that I've said, but remember this. We must turn acknowledgement into meaningful contribution, contribution into inclusion, inclusion into influence, and influence into impact. So today we are here because of the collaboration between FANAPAN, AGRA, and SADC. And we are jointly implementing our collaborative initiative, which we are titling it Youth Employment from Agriculture and Food. And this initiative is to create a conducive and supportive policy and regulatory environment. And as FANAPAN, we are engaging this to ensure that we are supporting domestication and harmonization of African Agribusiness Youth Strategy, which we are abbreviating as AAYS. So we are working closely with countries and national governments and related stakeholders to ensure that there is investment in agriculture, and also that the investment plans are representative of youth aspirations, to ensure that we are responsive to your demands, we are being inclusive. So for today, I am happy to say that we are partnering with SADC to ensure that we are aligning with the SADC Regional Agriculture Investment Plan, RAIB 2030. And I'm happy that RAIB recognizes that youth are a critical and a valuable stakeholder to drive this agenda. So inclusive agriculture, food system, transformative agenda, I think is critical. And at FANAPAN, we strongly believe that youth must be at the center of our agriculture and investment frameworks. It is not only about consulting youth, it is about co-creating solutions with them. And for us today, we are inviting you to start that process of co-creating those solutions, because we are not about leaving anyone behind. So our commitment to youth inclusion is long-standing and unwavering. So we work across the continent to create spaces for youth to engage with evidence-based policy dialogue through the African Agribusiness Youth Strategy and other platforms. FANAPAN will continue to promote youth-led research, innovation, and entrepreneurship. And for this dialogue, I urge you to contribute and to make sure that your voices are heard. Our goal is clear. It is to institutionalize youth inclusion in policy-making processes, from national plans, and also to ensure that we are contributing to regional and continental strategies. Without any further ado, Program Director, I thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mazimandela, for your opening remarks and for stressing that this is not just about talking, but it's about making sure that we then have meaningful engagement that results in real action on the ground. Thank you for those remarks. We are now going to move on to our next speaker. I would like to invite Director Gove from the SADC Secretariat to give his opening remarks. Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Stembile, our moderator. And I recognize Dr. Chilizi, the CEO of FANAPAN, and also Professor Jean Muhinda, the Regional Director of East and Southern Africa of AGRA. It's really a pleasure to be here, but equally to be seated and engaging with youth on behalf of our three institutions. I will say all protocol observed, because we don't know exactly who is here. There may be relevant participants from the member states, which we have to recognize. Ladies and gentlemen, let me thank you for attending this meeting. This meeting is your meeting, is a meeting of everyone that is here. It's not a SADC Secretariat meeting. It's not an AGRA meeting. It's not FANAPAN. We are just facilitating this meeting for your inputs. As Stembile has indicated, youth is really important in our region. Youth is around 35% of the total human population. The average youth unemployment is approximately 12%. Of course, the statistics are not accurate, but they may inform us. With the young women worse in the majority of the countries. So when we are talking about youth, it's youth, but also there is agenda aspect there. The youth that are women or women, they are really in a very dire situation, although the youth as a group age is also in a very challenging situation. Recognizing that SADC has enacted a series of strategies to empower youth, empower women. For the youth, the key strategies include the SADC Declaration on Youth Development and Empowerment that was taken in 2015. Also, the SADC Youth Empowerment and Policy Framework 2021-2030. And obviously, we are implementing the Africa Youth Charter. Just for information of the gathering here, we have established as SADC the so-called SADC Youth Forum that has been institutionalized in 15 member states. This is expected to be the mouth of the youth in the region and to be engaged in all decision-making process and monitoring processes. This forum has met in several occasions, and the last one was in July 2024. And some of the recommendations, I just wanted to flag some of the recommendations that the SADC Youth Forum has taken was to ensure that immediately a SADC Youth Desk is installed within SADC Secretariat. This is a process that we are following, and anytime soon, hopefully this year, we'll have a SADC Youth Desk that will be the entry point and the output point for all the youth aspects, which is really very critical because the youth, they have to know where to contact when it comes to SADC Secretariat. In addition to that, the SADC Youth Forum has agreed that the youth offices should be established within the SADC national contact points. You know how SADC is working. We have SADC Secretariat based here in Gaborone, but for us to work with individual member states, we have what we call the SADC national offices. So we don't engage with any ministry or any entity. We use the SADC representation in each of the member states, which is the national contact point. So the SADC Youth Forum has encouraged SADC to establish a youth office within these entry points of SADC in each of the member states so that the youth aspects are adequately addressed. And also they have agreed to develop public policies encouraging active youth participation in the economy. I would like also to indicate that for us as SADC Secretariat, under the guidance of SADC member states, we operate guided by what we called the Regional Indicative Strategic Development Plan. In this case, is for the period between 2020 and 2030. We used to have another strategy from 2003 that ended in 2019. And we have a new strategy that started in 2020 and is currently being revised, but it goes up to 2030. And this strategy is very well linked with the African Union 2063 development program. And it is this strategy that guides all our work throughout the years. This strategy has 3 pillars. One is industrial development and market integration. Agriculture is part of this. The second pillar is infrastructure development to support regional integration. It's talking about infrastructure. The third pillar is social and human capital development. So these are the three main pillars in our regional indicative strategic development plan. However, we have what we call as foundation. Foundation, as you may think about, is addressing peace, security, and good governance. That is the foundation so that we are able to implement the three pillars. But also we have what we call the cross-cutting issues that include gender, youth, climate change, natural resources, and environment. So in our regional indicative strategic development, youth is there very clearly because of its relevance. I just wanted to indicate or share quickly the context that we are working on, where youth has to be aware, because sometimes we can just speak about marginalization, which is true, but also we have to take into account the context. The context is not good. For example, we are speaking about the review of our regional indicative strategic development plan as far as the industrial development and trade is concerned. The manufacturing value added has been stagnant throughout for more than 20 years. The manufacturing employment has declined. The food and nutrition insecurity is declining every year. Now we are talking about 18% of the total population who are food and nutrition insecure due to climate impacts, but equally economic failures and challenge and so on. If we look into the Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program, the entire continent is not on track on the 7 commitments that were agreed when the Malabo Declaration was approved. So we're not doing well as a continent, we're not doing well as a region, and this is the context that the youth has to try their best to thrive and move forward. The industrial employment is stagnant. We are currently around 11% against target 2030 target of 40%. The situation is not good economically, socially, in terms of food and so forth. As Dr. Chilize has indicated, we have what we call the regional agriculture policy. The regional agriculture policy is what we call the SADC compact to CAADP. At the Pan-African level, we have the Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program. For us as SADC to implement that, we have agreed as member states to have the regional agriculture policy. So the regional agriculture policy is the CAADP at the regional level. And for us to implement the CAADP, we have developed what we call the Regional Agriculture Investment Plan, which is a tool, a 5-year tool that we use with very detailed actions and objectives and so forth to implement the regional agriculture policy, which is the CAADP. In our region, we have been able to align our regional agriculture investment plan with the recently approved Kampala Declaration, the new program for development that was approved in January 2025 by the head of states and government. So we really moved very quickly in terms of adopting the Kampala Declaration, ensuring that all the main elements are there. And one of the components of the Kampala Declaration that we have adopted is the inclusivity, meaning that youth, they have to be empowered so that they are included in the development of the policies, but also implementation and monitoring, youth, gender, and then favored people and communities. So those aspects are there. As a region, we have been looking to youth. We have developed strategies. Everything is there in place. Now it is a matter of discussing as we are doing today, but as it was indicated by Dr. Stembile, it's not about only discussion. We really have to come with solutions. Solutions that should not be a shopping list, because then it may become very difficult to choose which we will have to implement. I think we can have a shopping list, which is normal, but then we have to have the 4 or 5 priority on top of priorities so that we can have that information with us, you as youth, we as SADC Secretariat, PANAPAN and AGRA as our partners, so that we can work together. And then 1 year or 2 years down the road, we can assess what we have achieved based on the discussions that we're having today. I'm sure that will not end today. The partnership that we have with AGRA is very clear. Is to look the implementation of the regional agriculture policy, which implements CADAP, but having youth as the main element in that process. So we'll be working with you, and we are looking for you as partners, as people that you will be active, not people that are just complaining, but people that really they know what they have to do. And we will have to create space, as I indicated. We'll have a SADC youth office that will be ready to hear you as soon as possible, so that we can not waste any time. So I'm looking forward for inputs from you, discussions, but above all, recommendations, very clear recommendation on how best we can work together. We are not dumping to you, but we are calling you to work together based on all this framework that has been developed to ensure that you are included and you're an active part. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward for discussions. Over to you, Dr. Stembele.
Thank you, Director Gove, for those remarks. I think the challenge is clear from your end. There are opportunities that have been designed and put in place through the frameworks that SADC has developed. The issue is, how do young people tap into that, and how do they really sort of drive agriculture based on that? Thank you so much. We are now going to move on to our next remarks from Prof. Jean-Jacques Muhinda, who is the Regional Director for Eastern Southern Africa for AGRA. Prof, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Director Tembi, for inviting me and giving me an opportunity this afternoon to make a few remarks along with my 2 colleagues from FANAPAN and SADC. So I believe colleagues from both FANAPAN, Dr. Chiliz and Dr. Gove from SADC Secretariat have covered a lot already. And my job is going to be very simple, sharing additional messages that complement already very good remarks that we have heard from both of them. And I want to start by, again, re-emphasizing that youth remains the most dynamic asset that the continent has, probably. And as what we have heard from the 2 speakers, SADC region is not an exception. Number 2, from where I sit in my organization, AGRA, I think we're better placed probably to understand that the agri-food sector offers massive opportunities to address the current challenges associated with youth in employment in the continent, like again the previous speakers have mentioned. Now the question here is, how do we bring these 2 things together to make sure that we're creating a proper linkages and integration of youth in the agri-food sector transformation? Because all the frameworks are there, like we have heard from the Dr. Dove from COMESA. So that is why then the principle for inclusivity that is embedded in most of our continental and regional frameworks, like we have just heard, becomes extremely important. But sometimes it's overlooked, and I believe that is the essence of having this dialogue today. As again, it has been mentioned, we don't need documents. Frameworks are there, policies are there, instruments are there. And I'm glad that the director from COMESA SADC already mentioned the frameworks such as the African Agribusiness Youth Strategy, AIYS, that was actually designed to ensure that it's guiding participation of youth in the agri-food agenda from the continent. And this is pretty much in line with both the Agenda 2063 that has been mentioned, but also the new CAADP strategy and the action plan. So as it has been alluded to, and I'm sure most of you here, probably not the youth, know that the current Kampala CAADP strategy and action plan recognizes strongly that equipping youth, young people, especially young women, with training, mentorship, access to vital resources such as land, finance, knowledge, innovation, and so on, we can actually empower them as change agent in the agri-food systems. That is exactly how it is stated in the Kampala Declaration. So it is something already that our countries, our leadership, our head of state have subscribed to. Our role is to make sure that we operationalize that and we make it happen. So I like a message that was again alluded to by Dr. Gove here. It's not only about creating work opportunities for youth. Let's not take it that way. It's not a favor that we're doing for them, but rather it's a way of fostering a more dynamic, a more innovative way of transforming African food systems. We need that. We need that energy and dynamism in the sector to make sure that we can advance quickly while addressing other issues related to youth. It's please not a favor to youth, but we're actually doing the right thing. And I'm glad, listening from the two colleagues who have spoken before me, that SADC is already revisiting its regional agricultural investment plan to make sure that all these issues we're discussing here are strongly embedded and the youth voice is elevated and actually participation is streamlined. This is exactly the way to go, and I'm glad SADC is leading on this. It's probably the first regional economic community that has already embarked into revising and updating the RIPE. From where I sit, probably it's happening somewhere, but from AGRA, that's what we know already. And this is something that is extremely encouraging for us. So now, when I look at the themes, Tembi, that are going to be discussed in this dialogue here, all of them, without repeating what is already written there, align with an existing partnership that AGRA has with the Muscat Foundation, known as YEFA. This is the Youth Entrepreneurship for the Future of Food and Agriculture. And that gives us a very good opportunity to continue partnering with relevant institutions like both FANAPAN and SADC to make sure that this is happening actually across the continent. So therefore, through this continental program, as AGRA, we're committed to continue working with you all, especially the mandated institutions such as SADC and other RECs, but also our own African think tanks like FANAPAN, to make sure that the integration is actually effective and the participation is actually happening across the whole range of policy processes, but also policy implementation. So I encourage you, Tembi and the team from FANAPAN and the colleagues from SADC to organize more of this dialogue. We may not have a good number today, but let's have them. I mean, engaging youth requires patience, it requires to repeat and engage them and get closer to them. If need be, you may even convene such dialogues by country or by sub-regions to make sure that this message is reaching as many youth as possible. So I don't want to take much time here. I really want to thank you all again, especially involving AGRA in this dialogue here, and assuring you that you can actually count on us as you pursue this journey here. Thank you once again, and I take this opportunity to also appreciate the collaboration and the effort, including even my colleagues from AGRA who are on the call here. Thank you very much, and back to you, Thembi.
Very much, and for the challenge that you have given us and have given the young people that are joining here. I see more people are still joining the meeting, but I wanted to just encourage everyone so that we see where everybody is coming from if you could, against your name, just add the country where you are joining from, so that when we speak to the issues and when you make your interventions, we know that this is a voice from Malawi, or this is a voice from South Africa, or from Lesotho, because we really wanted to have this dialogue as representative as possible. So yes, I'm seeing South Africa, I'm seeing Zambia, I'm seeing Tanzania, and I am seeing Zimbabwe. Please just keep adding your countries against your names, so that we have that overview. Thank you to our principals, Dr. Chilidzi Matsubandila, Director Government from the SADC Secretariat, Prof. Mohinda from AGRA, for those remarks that have really put a challenge to all the youth that are joining us today. Our program for today is going to be split into two after the opening remarks, where we are first going to receive a presentation that is unpacking the Africa Agribusiness Youth Strategy, after which we will have an opportunity for all of you to ask your questions, to engage, to make your suggestions, and maybe to share your experiences. After that, we are then going to transition to a presentation that's going to be unpacking the SADC Regional Agriculture Investment Program. We are going to then have a question and answer segment, after which we will then have some summary remarks and key takeaways. So I think with that said, I would now like to invite my colleague, Dr. Rachel Mkandawire, to present the AAYS. Thank you.
I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. I will write on the protocols that have already been observed. I'm Rachel Isabel Mkandawire. I'm representing FANAPAN, and I'll be unpacking the African Agribusiness Youth Strategy, the AAYS. But as a background, I would like to share what FANAPAN is. FANAPAN is a multi-stakeholder network working in 21 countries, but it has an African-wide mandate. It is a stakeholder-driven network comprising of different sectors: government, the civil society, researchers, private sector, farmers, smallholder farmers, commercial farmers, and importantly, the youth that have brought us here. Our approach to work is mainly in the policy landscape. We generate research-based evidence, that is data, case studies, policy insights that are relevant, timely, to inform science and policy, and also inform policy processes. We also strengthen capacity of stakeholders, which include our government, CSO, researchers, as I already said, to understand and contribute and shape policy processes through training, mentorship, technical support, and policy platforms. And we are also in policy advocacy. We have one of the most powerful convening platforms at regional, national, and subnational levels to ensure different voices, community voices, are represented at policy tables. Why are we engaged in this project? FANAPAN, in collaboration with AGRA under the Youth in Employment from Food and Agriculture, we are implementing a project on leveraging knowledge management to enhance policy harmonization, domestication for agriculture transformation in East and Southern Africa. The aims of the project are mainly to generate knowledge management systems within the EAC and SADC regions. So for FANAPAN, we are not just collecting data, but we are also providing regional inputs, regional insights that drive policy processes. And from this, we develop knowledge products and best practices, challenges, lessons, which can highlight positions or options that governments or nations should follow or should take on how best to go forward. It is one thing to create policies at the regional level, but it is also another thing to implement them at the national and subnational levels. So in this project, FANAPAN is helping to ensure that there is alignment from national born policies, from national created policies to the ones that are created at at regional, continental, and then also at global levels. So in view of the above three, we are also using those two processes to unlock and pinpoint opportunities for young people. Mainly, we are trying to find spaces or sectors of value chains where young people can thrive and contribute, and also spaces where advocacy or policy reforms are necessary, where young people can really make meaningful contributions within the agribusiness sector, the agribusiness and agri-food system sector. So why does this matter? Africa is a young population with over 450 million young people, but specifically to SADC, you have over 60% of the youth, which is under 35. Most of them are living in rural areas. They face significant barriers. They are marginalized systemically from owning land. They don't own capital assets, mainly to have a gainful and a decent employment. However, young people have the potential, have the energy, and they have the creativity and adaptability that needs to be harnessed, as well as incorporated into agriculture strategies and agriculture programs to improve and drive an inclusive and a sustainable economic growth. In addition to that, young people also bring lived experiences, their practical insights like unemployment, digitalization. They also understand the food consumption trends that are currently taking place. And from that, they can create and respond easily to how the dynamic within the food space, the food consumption, the food production space is operating. And also engaging in youth, it also ensures social inclusion. If you marginalize young people that make up the most of the population, what will the future look like? So that's one of the reasons why this this strategy is very important to Africa. But the main objectives of the strategy, the African Agriculture Youth Strategy, is mainly to promote youth entrepreneurship and youth and employment within the agribusiness. The previous speakers have already mentioned that agriculture, agri-food systems is one of the potential value chains that can provide employment and decent work to young people. Not only that, this strategy is set to guide countries and regions when they are developing youth strategies. This strategy should be like a benchmark in which the other strategies need to develop theirs. But it also serves as a reference for integrating, for alignment into the NIPES and also other youth employment strategies. How does the AYS strategy align with the other strategies, the frameworks at global level and the continental frameworks? It aligns very well because we are looking at a strategy that is providing, it aligns with SDG 1, SDG 2, and SDG 8, which aim at providing a decent and gainful employment, also aiming at ending poverty and ending hunger, which align very well with what the agribusiness, the youth the African the AAYS is also looking to. In addition to that, at African level, it aligns very well with the Agenda 2063, the Cardiff Malabo Kampala Declaration, the African Youth Charter 2006, and 1 Million Next Level, which are also looking at empowering young people, not only with technical skills, education skills, but also engaging them, including them into different agricultural and other sectors of the economy. The AAYS is a very comprehensive strategy. The level of employment, the level of implementation is from the continental, regional, national, and also at subnational levels. It takes into account both past and ongoing agricultural initiatives, mainly to make sure that there is no duplication. We are not trying to reinvent a new wheel, but we are trying to capitalize on already existing opportunities that have already been identified, already ongoing programs, that we can only take advantage to make sure that there is impact. In addition to that, it incorporates different stakeholders, the private sector, the public development organizations, financial and farmer organizations as the ones driving and implementing the policy. And in this, the implementers are also key. These could be the governments, could be policy bodies, as also part and parcel of implementing the AAYS. That's how inclusive this strategy is. The strategy falls on the fulcrum of empowering youth agripreneurs, but it has 3 pillars: reinforce systems for implementations, which is mainly to empower young people in policy processes, to empower young people in project management, project development, data collection, data issues, among others. Then it looks at transforming markets, mainly to revolutionize the current market systems, leaving the traditional markets that we used to know, but revolutionizing it, adding digital, adding data, being inclusive, responding to trends. These are some of the things that the strategy is looking at. Then we have strengthening value chains, which is mainly looking at issues of production and from production to consumption, and also including issues of logistics, marketing, and distribution, how to strengthen these and how to include young people within these sectors. But in terms of cross-cutting issues, we're looking at a policy that is inclusive, we're not leaving anyone behind. We are taking young men, young women, those that are vulnerable. We are also taking into account that young people are not a homogeneous group, but they are people with different needs, living under different demographic, different social characteristics, some poor, some not, others with opportunities, others without. It needs to take into account all those. We're also looking at innovation to disrupt. It can also be innovation to grow, innovation to develop. I already stated that we're looking at revolutionizing the current market space, making it more digitally responsive, and also preserve the earth. While we are doing all this, while we are growing, we are consuming, we are distributing, and we are marketing, we need to take into account the Mother Earth. This is the only place that we have. This strategy is also being implemented as in a dualistic manner, empowering youth in decision-making, mainly taking into account youth in policy processes, youth in project formulation, youth in project design, youth not only as beneficiaries of projects, of youth-driven, youth-centered projects, but as part and parcel of the decision-making process, as part and parcel of implementers. And the second part of this approach is empowering youth in value chains, empowering them with the skills, with the knowledge, with mentorship. You probably, some of you might have been available when we were launching the youth championship. That's one of the things that this youth strategy is looking at, finding spaces where young people are empowered, not only in terms of production, but also in terms of mentorship skills. At the end of the day, we would like to have young people that have skill sets, digital soft skills, education, young people that have a voice, young people that can contribute to policy processes, young people that have power, and also young people that have means for taking action. This is a summary of what I already said in the previous 2 slides. We're building systems for implementation that takes into account youth as decision makers, at institutional level, at policy level, also at technical level. We are transforming markets, revolutionizing it, making sure that it is digitally responsive. We are also strengthening value chain, integrating youth in all different aspects of the value chain. And then in terms of cross-cutting, we are including everyone, not leaving anyone behind. We are innovating, and we are also managing resources sustainably. In terms of the modalities of implementation, the AAYS is looking at 4 levels. The first part is to decentralize power. This policy has been created at continental level, but it needs to be implemented at national and subnational to make sure that there is impact, and also to make sure that it is scalable and its impacts are more sustainable. In terms of youth categories, youth are not a homogeneous factor. We are including everyone, not leaving anyone behind. In terms of agribusiness, we are talking from production to consumption, and then logistics, distribution, marketing, and making sure that in each and aspect of the agribusiness, young people are part and parcel of it. And then finally, making sure that we are building on existing structures. We are not reinventing a new wheel. We are using structures that are already there to make sure that there is impact, to make sure that it's scalability, and also to make sure that it is sustainable for the near future. So this is mainly looking at implementation at different levels, and the roles of the different institutions at different levels. At continental level, there's been development of the AOIS, but also to oversee that the regional rates are implementing, have adopted, and have incorporated the AOIS into their regional agricultural investment plans. At continental level is also making sure that there is a resource mobilization is taking place to make sure that flagship projects that are looking at the implementation of AOIS is taking place. At regional level, we are looking at institutions like SADC, EAC, ECOWAS, to make sure that the nations are operationalizing the AAYS, also to find a mechanism of monitoring and evaluation, and also seeing the impact that is happening at the regional level from the implementation of the AAYS. At national level is also involved in making sure that all the strategies, all the national youth strategies, the national agriculture investment plans have them embedded, the AAYS embedded in these national level strategies. Also make sure that they are mobilizing financial technical resources for the implementation at national and subnational level. At subnational level is where we are the actual implementation is taking place. Their responsibility is also to mobilize resources to make sure that the AOIS does not only stay at the national level, but its implementation and impacts goes further into the grassroots. Finally, as a call to action is for regional bodies, CSOs, governments to expand successful youth agribusiness initiatives through targeted funding and resource allocation. When we are doing budgets, when we are doing resource mobilization, it has to be, we need to be intentional in creating funds, in resourcing funds for youth initiatives. Also, way forward is to engage with regional bodies to align youth agribusiness strategies with broader economic development plans. Any development plans that are being created moving forward needs to align youth agribusiness strategies. Establishing monitoring frameworks to assess the ongoing impacts of youth-focused agribusiness program. It is one thing to create frameworks, but to see that the frameworks have impactful outcomes is also another thing. So we need to make sure that anything that is being created at framework level has an impact, has a measurable impact that in future we can look back and say, as a result of AOIS, there was a reduction, a 15% reduction in unemployment in country A, country B. And finally, mobilizing youth to actively participate in policy dialogues, ensuring their voices are reflected in agribusiness policy-making processes and other agri-food systems spectrum. At this juncture, I would like to thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rachel, for that presentation. Very powerful slides that you had, showing clearly what the African Union has set out as a strategy for engaging young people in agribusiness right across the continent. I think I heard a lot of things that I picked up and will probably want to follow up on. And I'm sure everyone that is participating here also picked up a few things or have some questions, or there are some things that maybe triggered an idea or two as you were listening to the presentation. So at this time, we want to have a discussion that is informed by the presentation that we have just heard from Rachel, but also from our three principals that spoke earlier. And I don't want us to just focus on the challenges, because I think the challenges are very clear. But I want to hear from young people that are on the ground, that have enterprises going, that have or are trying to start up something. Having listened to the presentation from Rachel and also having heard from Director Gobe on the frameworks and policies and strategies that are there from a SADC level, and then also having heard from Prof. Mahinda on the IEFA program and what it tries to achieve. I want to hear from people that perhaps have been struck and have some insights or reflection or two that they would want to share. So this is not the questions part, but this is I was listening and I had an aha moment, and oh, I think this would be interesting. So this is that time. I will open up the floor. We will take the first 5 sort of hands to go up, listen to those reflections and insights, and then we'll move on to the next 5. So please do raise your hand so that we can give you the rights to unmute and we can hear from you. All right. The first two hands that I am seeing is from Mwaka Namukonda will be the first one. And I am also seeing another hand. Oh, it has gone down. Okay, maybe let's hear from Namukondwa and then we will take the other hands. Go ahead.
Thank you so much for the presentation, Doctor. And thank you for what you're doing as a network to push and include the youth constituency. My name is Mwaka Namkonda. I am the kayak coordinator, and it is such a privilege to see that the SADC region is actually the first REC that is pushing the agenda of the RIPE and also making sure that the youths are being included through the AAYS in conjunction with AGRA and the AUC. So I just wanted to give you a hand on everything that you are doing and for bringing the youth and supporting the youth in what we believe will be the best way forward for Africa. We have, for the longest time, depended on our GDP from agriculture, and I think definitely having more innovative and stronger hands on the ground is one of the best ways to move forward. With your support, I think the youth have something good and better opportunities to venture in the agriculture sector. So it's basically just me giving you a hand for the initiatives that you're taking up and the time you're spending. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Welcome. For your remarks and for congratulating the SADC for being the first REC to sort of take a lead in unpacking the AAYS for the youth and also for engaging the youth in the right. I will take two more hands that want to sort of maybe reflect on the presentations. Remember when we started the meeting, we said this is not a meeting where you just hear presentations and we end it there. We want to hear your voices. You are here today because you have an interest in agriculture, in transforming our agri-food systems, and we want to hear your voice. You have received the strategy that's meant to drive youth agribusinesses on the continent. And as a young person listening to this, does this resonate? Do you have questions? Do you have challenges? I see Kopelo Shomwe, and then I see Sifiso Keswa. In that order, please go ahead. Kopelo.
Am I audible enough?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Thank you. Kopelo Shomwe, my name from Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland. I just have a single question. Okay, maybe just a brief introduction on myself. I'm the master trainer at Thrive for Good for the Southern African region. Mostly I work with communities, destitute communities here in Eswatini and in South Africa. Apart from that, I'm also a mentor at Pelum, so I work with agripreneurs most of the time. So what I've noted while working with agripreneurs, especially from rural areas, on national level and sub-national level, you find that these people are keen and they are enthusiastic on enrolling or doing their agribusiness, but they lack support from maybe to say the government or any relevant structures because they do not have access to, I would say, vital resources like land. Because you find that if you are a young person and you are looking for land, it's hard for you because you do not have that capital to buy that land. You do not have anything, and you cannot even access a loan from financial institutions because you do not have collateral. You have nothing. People on their youthful stages honestly, they lack enough resources to push or to leverage their entrepreneur and the voice. So I'm not sure if it's possible for us, everyone here in this house, maybe to enlighten me or to come up with ideas on how best can we make policies that will assist that farmer back in that rural area, back in that community, to have access to the vital resources for them to be able to work and thrive in their agribusiness or agri enterprises. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Topelo. The question is there to say, yes, the young people are eager, they want to get involved, but when it comes to resources, there's a challenge. They don't have access to land, they don't have the finances that are needed to be able to get inputs and other things. So how do we go around that challenge? There's a question.
Yes.
We will hold on to that question. Let's go to Sifiso. After Sifiso, we'll go to Audrey Nyazika from Zimbabwe, and then we will try and respond to the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much. And good afternoon, everyone. My name is Fiso Keswa from KZN. I work as an intern for trade and investment, KwaZulu-Natal. So what I do mainly, I do research on agricultural value chains, agro-processing as well. So what I've found, because I've just finished my first year with trade and investment, what I've found is that in as much as we do have farmers in my province, let me talk about KZN, but it's common across South Africa, is that most of our black farmers, or as well as young farmers, we don't have like organizations that represent farmers, like your associations. So it becomes difficult for them to grow and be sustainable in their activities, because you'll find that one is operating there and the other is operating there. It's hard for them to cooperate, even though there is this a business structure called cooperatives. We are still struggling to sustain those businesses. So if we can bring in a mindset of cooperation amongst black farmers, the youth especially, because we're the future, in that way we can work, produce something meaningfully than what we are seeing currently, as well as having people who advocate for us as youth in terms of policies, because we know that we are struggling with resources, which is true. We are struggling with resources. It's hard to get land. We don't have collateral. Yes. Also, what I've found is that food insecurity is a common problem across Africa. So as people who are in agriculture, especially the youth, I think we have a huge role to play. So the organization for organizing meetings like this and programs, I think they will play a huge role in eliminating these problems that we have, from food insecurity, lack of association from farmers, as well as advocating for you to have resources for meaningful commercial participation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sifiso, for that very important contribution. The issue of being organized being a very key one that I'm hearing from you, to say, yes, sometimes the opportunities are there, the funding is there, but perhaps our farmers, young and old, are not as well organized as would be ideal for them to be able to access those resources. Let's hear from Audrey, and then the last speaker will be Miriam. And after that, then we can sort of deal with all the questions before moving on to the next presentation. Audrey, over to you.
Hello everyone. My name is Audrey Nyasika and I am from Zimbabwe. I'm an environmental planning and management officer that works under the government, and from our office we work under the supervision of most agricultural activities and most agricultural projects that are being implemented in different provinces. We also look at the impacts of most of the agricultural activities and projects, their impacts to the environment. Now, basing on the experience that I have and the engagement that we've had with farmers and agriculture activities happening in most of the regions that we have, in most of the areas that we have been to, I've noticed that most projects or most agriculture activities are being practiced mainly by people who are over the youth age or the youth stages. So having many youths attending to some of the agricultural related workshops, I've noticed that there are some youths out there which have passion and they have ideas of starting agricultural projects and also carrying out certain research topics in relation to improving agribusinesses. So now my question is, do we have a proper engagement strategy, a proper youth engagement strategy, looking at the project that the presentation was explaining in terms of the project that was covered? Do we have a proper youth engagement strategy that will allow more research to be done, that will allow innovative ideas to be considered and for them to start to be implemented, or for them to start? Because we have youth out there which have that passion to say, I have ideas, but have they been engaged? And do we have a platform that gives them the chance to carry out research, to come up and bring their ideas, and then they can be taken forward and be considered, taking also into consideration that the youth who are located in remote areas that do not have access to most of the networking that we're doing, the communications that we have, but they are agriculture innovative. They have more what we call that community-based experience in terms of agriculture as compared to most of the people who are connected and who are taking part in these workshops. So there's need to improve on the youth engagement strategy so that we can come up with the solution that will cover all and that will produce results that are a bit much more fair and covers the whole of the region. Thank you very much.
Thank you. There is a question from Audrey. She works from government and she's supporting farmers, she's supporting young people, but she has seen this challenge. Let me give to Miriam, and then we will go back to Rachel for her reflections on the questions. Miriam, over to you.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Miriam Nchimbi. I'm from Tanzania. I'm an agripreneur, but also a clinical nutritionist. I have followed well the presentation, and I wanted to ask the same question that Audrey has asked, but I'll just put some emphasis on policy advocacy. Until youth are included in policy making, policy advocacy, project planning in terms of food systems, these projects might not be known to them. These opportunities might not be known to them. Actually, most of the opportunities that have been aired out in various platforms are more of mentorship programs for those who are in the value chain actively. I mean to say those who are dealing with cultivation, terms of logistics, packaging and stuff. But those who are interested in policy advocacy, youth who are interested in policy advocacy, matters such as research in terms of agriculture and food systems initiatives, what about those opportunities? Because all these opportunities, all these strategies, all these frameworks are tailored to benefit the youth. So if youth are not included in this process, decision-making process, formulation processes, and there are youth that are already interested in this field. So like, I think these strategies should also look at that side to make sure that youth are incorporated in formulating the strategies. I liked what the presenter said, that we should not just rely on, I mean, mentorship or capacity building in terms of people who are involved maybe in value chain addition. This should go deeper in making sure that youth are included in policy and stuff. Moreover, I, as a youth in agriculture, I might be interested in cultivating so as to earn a living and the like. But the presenter went far and said about environmental sustainability. Do youth know about these issues? The process, I mean, the policies that are there in relation to environmental sustainability, these beneficiaries, which are youth, do they know about this? That was my thing. Audrey and I are literally speaking of the same thing: research and policy. People, I mean, youth who are interested in these opportunities, do they get the platform to air themselves out? That was my thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Miriam. I think we have one more hand that I'm going to allow, but we are really have maybe run out of our time. Hannah, I don't want to leave you out. Do you want to also share your reflections?
Yes, thank you. My name is Hannah Chiwala. I'm a farmer from Zambia. And this is just in response to two of the questions that have been raised prior to mine regarding whether the youth know what plans are in place for them. So I recently attended the workshop at that was held at what do you call this place? Legacy, which was by Agra and Comesa Business Council. And so the idea was to get youths involved in cross-border trade. And so in response to their questions, I think that effort is being made to get youth involved, because I'm only 24 and I was invited to speak on what it is I'm involved in and what struggles I'm facing, and hoping that through that engagement and through that workshop, we begin to see action, not just for me, but for other youths who are involved in agriculture. And so I think that they're definitely making headway, definitely not where we ought to be, but progress is being made. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah, for sharing that experience with the meeting that you just recently attended. I think what I am going to do, I'm going to use my prerogative as the chair of this meeting to say, maybe let's perhaps hear from SADC. Let's receive the presentation from SADC on the Regional Agriculture Investment Program. And after that, we can then engage some more. So we're going to sort of give that presentation about 15 minutes, and then we will then have the remainder of the time to engage. I think some of the issues Hannah has sort of held in addressing, to say there are initiatives that are ongoing, but then perhaps it's in the knowledge or the information about those initiatives is not being sort of disseminated as wide as possible, but things are happening. That's what I heard from Hannah. I would like to invite at this point the next presentation from Mr. Duncan Samikwa, who is the Senior Programs Officer at SADC, to present the SADC Regional Agriculture Investment Program. Over to you, Duncan.
Thank you very much, Tembi. Colleagues, principals, my fellow young people, it's good to hear from you and the energy. I have an advantage that I'm speaking as the last but one person. So everything I'm going to be saying has already been said. I'm even tempted to say with those few remarks, I thank you. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen, but you can just go into presenter mode.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. So without further ado, I'm going to present the draft SADC Regional Agriculture Investment Plan 2023 to 2030. We're calling it draft because we expect our ministers in the sector to approve it at the end of the month. Then we'll remove the word draft and we'll start implementation. So in terms of my presentation outline, I'll briefly look at the context, then the guiding principles which we employed to develop this, a bit of carryover in output. I'll dwell much on number 3, which is the proposed programs to save time. And I'll show you a bit how we align with the Kampala, which was spoken by my boss, Director Gove, as well as the, Dr. Shirizi of Panpan and our colleague from AGRA. I'll not talk much about the institutional operational implementation plan and the monitoring and evaluation. Now, what is the background? The Regional Agriculture Investment Plan is a tool that implements the regional agricultural policy. Now, the first regional agriculture policy was promulgated or formed in 2014, and it defines the common agreed objectives and measures to guide, promote, and support actions, both at regional and national levels in the SADC agricultural sector, and in contribution to regional integration, which is the agenda of SADC, with the aim to reduce poverty, including food and nutrition insecurity, hopefully through equitable and sustainable economic growth. So the SADC RAP, which is implemented by the RIPE, sorry for the jargon, RAP, Regional Agriculture Policy, RIPE, Regional Agriculture Investment Plan. So the RAP has got the following overall objectives: enhancing sustainable agricultural production and productivity and competitiveness. 2, improving regional and international trade and access to markets. 3, improving private and public sector engagement and investment in the agricultural sector. And then reducing social and economic vulnerability in the region's population. This is in the context of food and nutrition security. So in terms of how we fit into the overall continental framework, the regional agriculture policy for SADC is taken as a compact or implementation of the overall CADI program by African Union. So, you know, in this period, the past 10 years, we've been implementing the so-called Malabo Declaration. So the RAP was also formulated to align with the Malabo Declaration. And as I'm going to show you shortly, the new RIPE is also aligning to our new strategy, new 10-year strategy on the continent level, which is the Kampala Declaration. I'll skip that. This is the admin part and the bureaucracy. Any plan of this nature is approved by SADC Council. And the first RIPE was 2017 to 2022. And the RIPE, in alignment with specific objectives of the SADC RAP, the one from 2017 to 2018 had 8 programs. I'll quickly run through this. One was to enhance sustainable agricultural production As you can see, they are rhyming with the RAP objectives: facilitate improved regional and international trade, facilitate improved public and private sector engagement in agriculture, reduced social and economic vulnerability, facilitate sustainable development and management of environment, facilitate enhanced sustainable management and conservation of wildlife, facilitate and promote improved legal frameworks, and finally, enhanced collaboration in agriculture related to sectoral program implementation. So we've been implementing this from 2017 to 2022, which, as we were implementing at the SADC level, the SADC Bible, quote unquote, or Quran, whichever your religion is the Regional Indicative Strategic Development Plan. Now, from 2020, we have a new Regional Indicative Strategic Development Plan, which guides all the programs that SADC is implementing, be it in agriculture, in trade, in health, in all the sectors. And that plan has got 3 pillars. One is industrial development, then social and human development, and then the cross-cutting pillar. So all the programs that SADC does are supposed to be within these 3 pillars. So we took the RIPE and RAP and made it fit into one of those 3 pillars, all of them together. But we took which are the best fit for industrial development, and these are the ones, the 3: transformed the agricultural sector, interconnected, integrated rural economy, and the deepened regional market. In the social and human development, from our RIPE, we fit the program on food, improved food and nutrition security for socio-economic well-being. And in terms of the cross-cutting, this is very interesting. This is where we put climate change, improved disaster risk reduction, sustainable utilization and conservation of natural resources and the environment. So under each of these strategic objectives, as you've seen, one or more of the outputs per outcome are expected of the RAP have been fit in there. So I'm now taking you to the new RIPE, the one that we want to present to ministers. I think this is the one that is of interest. So what are our key guiding principles? When we implemented the RIPE 2017 to 2022, we learned some lessons, and we thought that going forward, the next 7 years, we should focus on agri-food systems, transformation, and in alignment with Kampala Declaration. I'm sure you are all familiar with Kampala Declaration. Rachel and many others speakers before me mentioned it. Agri-food systems, I'm sure many of you know agri-systems. Basically, we're talking about all the activities from farm to fork. So there's the production, there's the transportation, there's the marketing, there's how you present the food, and up to when you eat and dispose of the food. The other principle is continuation of activities from the previous, because we were not able to complete 100% what we had set out in the 2017-2022. And some of the activities are in nature continuous anyway. We also want to focus now on impactful implementation rather than strategies. There was a question from one of our youth here to say how they hear about the strategies, but how do we practically get involved and implement? So we're hoping that with the new RIPE, there are going to be strategies and interventions that are going to engender practical implementation of and involvement of the youth. We also want to focus on securing funding, because if you don't have funding, it's very difficult to implement anything. So this was one of the critical missing elements, and we're now living in a space where the world, in terms of funding, is challenging. So we really need to be innovative in terms of how we fund what we propose to do. We also want to build capacity and resilience. People talk of not teaching someone to fish rather than giving them fish, because once they know how to fish, they're going to be able to catch fish for themselves. So we just don't want to involve the youth in workshops and in talk shows, but we should skill them such that they are able to help themselves going forward. I'll quickly zoom in these elements. These are the ones from the previous 2017-2022 that we've carried forward. This will be shared, so allow me to quickly just go through them because they're already in the existing program. What I need to do now is dwell on the focus on the 2023-2030 program or RIPE. So the new RIPE were proposed in 7 programs. The first program is on sustainable agricultural production and productivity. The main aim of this program would be, in the short term, to attain regional food self-sufficiency, and in the long term, collectively, SADC region to become a major and global supplier of agricultural-based products. Believe you us or not, despite the potential to produce, SADC is a net importer of most of the food that we're eating. That should not be the case. We import food, we import things that we don't need to import, and we export things that are very low in nature and processed. So the key sub-programs here are sustainable agriculture production and productivity and competitiveness. We hope to involve the youth in production and productivity, post-harvest loss management. Studies have shown that all the products or the production that we were able to achieve in SADC, 30 to 40% of it is lost to post-harvest losses. So if you produce 100 kgs of grain, for example, it means you are only able to use 70% because you lose right from the garden, right from the transportation, right from the table, food waste. Yet there are so many people that they don't have food. The third one here is food security and nutrition enhancement. This region is now facing the so-called triple burden of malnutrition. We've got some people who are wasted and undernourished, and we've got people, especially the youth, because of feeding habits, becoming so overweight and liable to so many other diseases. But we also have people who are chronically malnourished and become stunted. Now, if you're stunted, the future consequences are very dire because you don't become productive as a citizen. Quickly moving to program number 2, this is agro-industrialization and value chain development. In my view, this is one of the areas which can attract the youth into agriculture because you are good with technology, you are good with the production that you use computers and machinery. So we want to strengthen capacity of agro-industry institutions, including farm organization, with a focus on building human and institutional capacities at all levels to manage the food system transformation. Many of the youth are also good at the market and trade facilitation. The focus here will be to improve market access, optimizing supply chains, and getting a fit into the intra-African trade. Rural transformation and development, and the focus here will be to improve the rural infrastructure so that we move produce from the rural to where it's produced, or even when you can move inputs to the rural areas and improve in terms of production and marketing. The third one is resilience building. I think the main objective of this program is to build adaptive capacities to withstand shocks. You know that with climate change, it's either we've got too much floods this year, next year it's got a drought. How do we navigate through those processes year in, year out? So here we're looking to agricultural research and development, knowledge management, and how to climate change proof ourselves as we produce. Number 4, quickly, is sustainable development and management of natural resources. The main objective of this program is to balance human needs and economic development with preservation and responsible use of natural resources and in our ecosystems. We've got several programs which we are proposing. One is sustainable environmental management, sustainable conservation of wildlife and transboundary natural resources, pollution reduction, waste management, promotion of renewable energy sources, and then transfrontier conservation. Number 5 is the other critical one, financing and investment. The main objective of this program is to boost both public and private investment in and for agriculture by improving the quality of investment and developing innovative financing mechanisms for the agri-food system sector. So we want to look at the resource mobilization for agri-food systems. SADC has been planning to have an agricultural development fund to be a catalyst for most of these investment, as well as to attract private sector and non-state actors to be engaged in agri-food systems. This one is where I'm going to spend 2 minutes, because this is where this meeting falls. Program number 6 talks about gender, women, and youth empowerment. The main objectives of this program is to foster inclusivity and equitable livelihoods with a focus on the integration and empowerment of women, youth, and the marginalized groups in agri-food systems. So we want, or are proposing, to improve stakeholder engagement by making sure that there's inclusivity with a focus on implementing mechanisms for collaborative partnerships, ensuring involving of local stakeholders in planning and implementation. So we're not just coming or proposing to come in with the ready-made programs, but you should be involved from the planning stage, implementation, and the engagement should be continuous. I heard a women's group recently saying, nothing about us without us. So it should be the same for the youth. Nothing on the youth without the youth involvement. So these are some of the key intervention areas that we are proposing. We are proposing to establish a multi-stakeholder platform for inclusive dialogue. So this is continuous, so that you are able to contribute to things that affect the youth. You understand your issues more than anyone else, so you must be at the table and contribute. We also want to develop gender responsive and youth-focused agricultural policy and program. We also want to implement quota systems. This is the labor reduction and the targeted interventions to increase youth representation in agriculture and governance structures. So when decisions are being made about loans, decisions are being made about capacity building, the youth must be in those structures so that they can guide. It should not just be top down, where the quote-unquote adult decides what the youth needs, but the youth must be able to articulate their issues on the table. We are also hoping to create a specialized financial products and business development services, which are tailored to women and the youth, entrepreneurs, which is all of you here. Number 5, develop digital platforms. You are very good at digital platforms as a youth, AI, and the rest that connect marginalized groups with market opportunities and agricultural services. Number 6, we also want to do capacity building programs on leadership and advocacy for youth farm organizations, establish mentorships and apprenticeship programs for youth in emerging agricultural value chains, developing gender transformative approaches that address structural barriers and power imbalances. Number 9, implementing gender and youth responsible budgeting in agricultural program. And finally, establishing a monitoring framework with disaggregated indicators so that we can track whether we are indeed implementing what we've set out to do and are not just keeping on talking. The last one is, the last program is governance and policy coherence, but I'll not do much about that. It's about policy alignment and monitoring evaluation. So to conclude, I'll quickly show you the alignment of this new RIPE with Kampala. So you've got Kampala strategy in the last 2 columns, and then you've got the regional agriculture investment plan on the left. If you can see, all of them, we put them there, and they found a niche, and they're very much aligned. That's why the regional director for Agra in charge of Southern Africa and East Africa was saying that SADC is probably the first-rate regional economic community that has aligned their investment plan to Kampala. With that, Chair, I wish to yield the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Duncan. That was the end, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for that presentation, for unpacking the draft regional agriculture investment program and really highlighting where the opportunities are for the youth. I think also one thing that I had probably as a challenge there for young people is that they need to carve out their cake from within that big program. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have received all our presentation for the day. We had some questions that were asked in the earlier session. I'd like to invite Rachel to give a quick response to those questions before I invite 1 or 2 hands of questions from this round presentation. Rachel, over to you.
Thank you so much, Tembi, for the facilitation. From the questions from my presentation, I think I picked 4 of them were comments, but 2 were the actual questions. If I missed out, maybe you can also put in the comment. First question from Mr. Shongwe, which asked on capital issues and loans. Then there was a question from Zimbabwe, from someone working for the government. He was asking on where are the strategies, where are the youth engagement strategies or platforms? So I'll start with the capital finance one. Okay, first of all, sorry, maybe there is a feedback. I just need to close the door. Sorry, there is an echo because of the feedback in the presentation room. The question on the capital finance, this platform is not meant to tell the young people that here is the money and here you should, this is the money, this is the type of business that you should do. Everything rests in the hands of the nations, the countries that you are coming from. So from this strategy, the strategy recommends that each government, each national agriculture investment plan should allocate funds, and each relevant ministries within the national agriculture investment plans should allocate funds for small and medium businesses for employment specifically targeted for young people. So for example, within the agriculture budget, you see that there is money for subsidies, there is money for fertilizers, there is money for field days. There has to be money that is allocated. There has to be a budget line that is allocated for youth and agribusiness entrepreneurship. Then the second area of finance that this strategy is proposing, it is proposing that financing institutions, for example, banks, you have Finca, I think in Malawi, Zambia, if not Zimbabwe, they have a financing institution called Finca. Those financing institutions, they need, when they are operating, they have to have a segment where it is specifically tailor-made to include and engage young people. Then there is also another area that this this strategy is proposing that governments or institutions or civil society organizations within countries, they need to find ways of working with philanthropists, working with remittances, or other funding sources such as crowdfunding to finance youth engagement or youth-tailored agripreneur activities. That is on finance. So mainly, your voice, your engagement, you as young people, I am challenging you in this meeting that when you meet your parliamentarians, when you meet your director in the ministries, you need to ask these questions. Okay, we are doing budget for 2025 to 2026, or what is the issue? Where is the money for youth and agribusiness based on this continental strategy? Or where does our strategy meet this strategy? Where does our constitution or our national agriculture investment plan meet the current AAY, meet the current African Union youth strategy? You need to ask those questions. Now, on their platforms for youth engagement or youth engagement strategies, if this strategy is properly aligned to national investment plans or national youth strategies, because not only should it speak to the national agriculture investment plans, it should also speak to any other youth strategy, any other strategy that is handling or tackling youth-related issues. If that issue, if that strategy is properly aligned to this one, trust and properly implemented, trust me, there is going to be a platform or a strategy that is giving young people a voice. Because what this strategy is saying is that young people in any decision making, whether it's at parliamentary level, municipal level, CSO, young people should have a quota that is significantly representative for everybody to see that young people are doing something. That's what this strategy is saying. So like at government, at ministerial level or advisor, there has to be someone young, or there has to be a quota that is strategically dedicated to handle youth-related issues. At CSO level, at municipal level, at council level, there has to be an office that is dedicated to dealing with youth strategies. I hope I have answered that very well. But if there is a team from African Union and other RECs, please, you can come in and help me to respond to the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel, for that response. I think clearly the national departments, the national governments have a role to play in terms of crafting those budgets that have an allocation for youth. I see Mwaka has got a hand up, but unfortunately we are really running out of time. So it has to be a really quick response, Mwaka. And immediately after, I would like to invite Stella Sawe from Agra to also give us her reflections and to just close for us by maybe doing a summary and and highlighting some of the key takeaways. So Mwaka and then Stella after that.
Okay, thank you so much for the floor. I just wanted to also highlight most of the regional agriculture investment plans. When we are working on a technical platform, the implementers being the parliamentarians, for example, are usually the last to get the word. So for us, the youth, it is a very hard opportunity to actually call them out or to get a platform to let them know, to say this has been implemented on a regional level. How do we manage, or what ways can we actually reach out to our governments on a national level so that we can domesticate these RIPes? How do we actually reach out to the Ministry of Youth, the Ministry of Agriculture, or necessary stakeholders on a national level to let them know, to say, we have heard about this. What routes would you advise for each of the nations, the youth in the RECs right now? How do we go about this and let our leaders know, to say this has been done? How is it being domesticated? What can we do to take advantage of the opportunities that have been put in place for the youth? So that was just something that I wanted a clearer understanding for the youths here. Thank you.
Thank you, Stella. Stella, are you able to unmute? Okay, maybe Stella is having a technical challenge on her side. All right, I think looking at our time, we are exactly 6 minutes to the top of the hour. Thank you so much to Duncan, to Rachel for the presentations. I think for me, it is clear that the Africa Agriculture Africa Agribusiness Youth Strategy, AAYA, and the draft SADC Regional Agriculture Investment Plans, they have been designed to offer opportunities for youth entrepreneurs to sort of thrive in the continent, specifically in the SADC region, to also offer maybe some opportunities for development of new businesses and development of new ideas that will transform our agri-food systems and take us to the next level, where we see a region that is free from hunger and from poverty. And the challenge really lies with the youth to see how are you going to take these frameworks, these documents, and make sure that you take advantage of the opportunities that they offer. I have had Mwaka's comment to say that sometimes these things happen at regional level, and our parliamentarians, our officers within the agriculture departments are the last people to know. And so it becomes difficult for youth to say, push these people that actually don't have the information. What I have seen is that this is a challenge for organizations like FANAPAN, who are sort of in between the recs and the countries, to then take it upon ourselves to make sure that we sensitize our countries at national level, our different stakeholders, I mean, to sensitize them of these instruments and the opportunities that they offer, and to also maybe support them in then crafting national programs and national initiatives that respond to these regional frameworks, but also to sensitize them of the need to be able to allocate adequate budget for the implementation of these frameworks. That's a challenge that I have picked from these conversations that we have had. I think for me, this is one of many conversations that we are going to be having with young people from the SADC region, with young people from other regions as well, to say, how can we best take advantage of existing frameworks so that we see young people really driving agri-food systems transformation. Thank you very much to our three principals that opened the meeting for us. Thank you to you that have asked the right questions, have shared your experiences, and have contributed to making this this webinar what it has been. At this point, I think if Stella is still not able to unmute herself and say a few remarks, I would like to thank SADC, to thank AGRA, and for the collaboration and the partnership, and to just also highlight that as Rachel mentioned, we do have an ongoing project that's looking at leveraging these regional policy frameworks to make sure that they create opportunities for employment, opportunities for agribusiness for young people. So please do keep in touch with us. Do check from time to time our websites, where we'll be advertising more opportunities for you to engage. We do have youth fellowship that we will be starting soon, so that is something to also look out for. And I would like to also then maybe request that we take a family portrait to prove that we were all in this very important webinar. And if we can all maybe turn our cameras on, so that we can have that. This Wayland will help us with capturing
Thank you, colleagues. You can turn on your cameras. Okay, turn on your cameras, please. And one simple smile will do. On a count of 1 to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, wait just a second. I didn't get that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, then I'll go to the next page. So just hold on, please. Turn on your cameras. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Suelanji. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to join the meeting. Please, if you have more questions, drop us an email, follow up, and we will respond, and we'll try and make sure that we support you in any way to get the right information and to be able to to do what you need to do to be part of the change that we want to see. Thank you so much. We will share the presentation. I think I'm seeing a question from Fabian. What we'll do is we will send out a short report of this event to all the people that have registered for this webinar. And in that report, we will also attach the presentations. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.